Hey everybody! All you August Hustle Boot Campers, so excited to be here. It's 8 o'clock, top of the hour to ya. Top of the hour, whatever. It's been a long day. I'm very tired, and words are not quite coming to me anymore for the day. So I apologize if I'm going to stumble and mumble through this, but we're going to do it anyway. So if you are just joining us for the first time, this is our third day that we've been talking about things that you should be doing in the month of August in your business, mainly around some reflection and some planning in your business to really get your business up and running and off to a really great start for 2020. And so far we focused on reflection for your previous, like the prior year, like how things kind of went, how to look into how things went and determine if you need to make any sort of changes, what you need to change. Yesterday, we talked about customer feedback and referrals. So how to get customer feedback on how you're doing in your business and how to ask your current customers for referrals. And tonight, we're actually going to focus on setting goals, doing budgets, and creating a forecast for your business. And this is the third of 4 classes. So the last one will be tomorrow night. Again, we're live right here at 8 p.m. And this is totally free. So hopefully it's been helpful. And if you have found it helpful, please share the event with somebody you know. That really, really helps to get the word out about the DIY Academy. If you don't know who we are entrepreneurs. I'm failed entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, and I love helping small business owners, especially people who are starting their business or wanting to start their business. I'm really passionate about helping to guide you to do the right things versus the wrong things, which is kind of how I learned how to be successful. I did a lot of the wrong things. So anyway, my name is Jennifer Antiel. I don't know that I told you that. Maybe I did. Sorry. So I'm the coach here, one of the coaches here at the DIY Academy. We're actually going to be joined by the other coach, my other business partner and partner in crime, if you will, shortly. He had to go check on the baby because the baby was crying. And I'm also the head bean counter, head bookkeeper, tax person at our kind of parents company, if you will, called 110 Bookkeeping. And so we have decided to start the DIY Academy to be a resource for small business owners or people like you who might be interested in starting a business. So again, tonight we're going to talk about budgets, goals, and forecasts. So let's dive right in, shall we? So why are we doing this in August, by the way? I did a training, I think, kind of last week leading up to this, but August is a really good month to do this kind of stuff because a lot of people are gone, they've taken vacations, and so this is just a really good time to, 1, plan, and 2, get ahead of your competition. Again, a lot of people are vacationing and taking it easy this month because what starts next month? So September, right? We have back to school, we have fall, some sports start up, all sorts of craziness. And then, it's like all downhill from there, like crazy busy train express, through the holidays. Then you're going to be in 2020. So August is a great month to kind of focus on this and get ahead with your planning, get ahead of your competition, and again, reflect on how your business has went over the last year if you're a current business owner. It's just really great month to do this. I still hear the baby. Hopefully he can get him down and settle down so he can join us and we don't have to have a 6-month-old in this thing. So again, doing these things is really going to set yourself up for success. And we really want you to get any mindset of proactiveness, not reactiveness. Because a lot of times business owners, especially, I want to say this a lot, especially business owners who are starting up and don't know what they don't know yet, you spend a lot of time being reactive to fires. And it can cause a lot of problems. It can cause you to lose kind of sight of the path that you need to take. And again, just maybe make it take longer to get where you want to get, right? So again, proactive, not reactive. again, this is really, really important if you're starting up. So if you, the more ahead of the game you can get, the better off you're going to be. Did you get him down or?
Yep.
Cool. Let's see. I already talked about this. Again, so August is a great month. Slower, calm before the storm. As I mentioned, we were going to be joined by my business partner in crime. This is Antiel. You may have seen him a couple of times on the DIY page. Actually, I think we only did one training. But he's going to talk about the forecasting stuff because he's really good about explaining that. Okay, so I think we, hit that. What is the saying? Beat that horse with beat the dead horse. Whatever.
Beat the dead horse.
Beat the dead horse. I think we've talked about that. We talked in circles about that. So first and foremost, let's talk about setting goals, right? And so you probably heard the term SMART goals, setting SMART goals. And that's basically an acronym. SMART stands for a certain thing. And so we're just going to go through the different letters. So S stands for specific. You want to set a very specific goal. So like a non-specific goal for you for 2020 in your business would be like, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, cool. That's a really good goal, but it's not specific enough. It's not going to give you the intensity or, the mindset to get to where you want to be. Because like, what's a lot of money? Like you need to define a lot of money, right? So
$1 million.
Okay, maybe that's not realistic if you're a smaller business or just startup. Let's just go a little smaller. So, and we'll get to that actually. So a specific goal that you could set for yourself would be like, and say revenue or my sales, because making $100,000 and sales of $100,000 are two different things. So let's just say your goal is that you want to have sales of $100,000 by December 31st. See how that's very specific? So specific, which also gives to the point of the M, which is measurable. And so you've given yourself a metric. You've given yourself the $100,000, right? That's your metric. So you know what you're working towards, right? And how you're going to measure if your goal is successful or not, right? A is attainable. And he said, if you wanted to make $1 million, that may not be attainable. That's a very lofty goal. And, set something that's realistic for you. Like $100,000 might be realistic for you. Maybe, just maybe, you can push yourself a little bit harder than that, right? So maybe you say, I want to make $120,000 in 2020. Again, make it realistic and attainable for yourself, but maybe push it just a little bit. Make yourself work a little harder, because a lot of times making yourself work harder to get that extra is just really going to give you the fire into your butt to get it done. Like
the key point there, right? So one thing you're talking about is measurable and attainable, but don't cut yourself. Don't cut yourself short. Because if you say, well, I just want to make $20,000,
right,
that's not going to be something you're going to strive for, because that you can do in your sleep.
Right. You're not going to continue to, really do what it takes to be a business owner. If you set it too low,
it's kind of lazy.
maybe not, but it depends. So we did S, we did A, S, M, and A. The next one is relevant. So you obviously
cats.
We have cats upstairs. This is just we're on the crazy train tonight. Don't worry about it. Glad you're along for the ride. So again, R is relevant. Make sure the goal is relevant to your business. Setting the sales goal for your business, that's relevant to your business. Maybe setting, what would that be relevant? I want to paint my office green. I mean, okay, that's a silly goal, but do you see what I'm saying? Like, make it relevant to your business. You don't want to make like some really not relevant thing. Or I want to buy a Jeep. I don't know. Like that might be relative to your personal life, but not to your business. That's a better example.
Depends on if you're talking business goals or personal goals. I want a Tesla.
Right.
But my business goal is, first, I need to make enough money to pay my salary before I can get that Tesla.
And this is a really good point. You can use SMART goals in business, setting business goals and setting personal goals. It works for both types of goals. So, but specifically, we're pretty much talking about business goals. But that's a very good, it's because it's not relevant to your business, right?
Right.
The last letter, which in SMART, is T. And this stands for timely. So when do you want to achieve it? Okay. And I made the, the very first one I said the goal is I want to make $100,000 by the end of the year. Maybe I didn't say that. So saying I want to make $100,000 by the end of the year, like, yeah, it's kind of timely, but it's not really giving you like a concrete deadline. So what you would want to say is like by December 31st. I know it sounds silly. I know it sounds like potato, but you really have to like get this in your brain that you have this specific deadline to meet. Otherwise, you're not going to like push yourself. You're not going to do what needs to be done in order to make your goal by your date, right? Hopefully that was SMART goals really, really fast. Hopefully that all makes sense. I'm sure everybody's heard SMART goals before, but the key is to really think about them, and they're really helpful because they're going to give you the roadmap for how to get to them. And so if you don't have your goals figured out, you don't have a roadmap, you're just going to be like flying by the seat of your pants and doing all the things, but you're really not working towards anything. So having the SMART goals, key to being successful. This is also like, so knowing your goals, right? You're going to actually take those and you're going to break down into like simpler steps, kind of what you need to do. So like back to the example of the $100,000 in sales for the year. You could take that $100,000 and say, okay, if I break that down into a monthly goal, what do I have to make? What do I have to have in sales every month in order to stay on track to meet that $100,000 goal, right? You could take that even further. You could break it down into weekly. You could break it down into daily. You could even break it down into hourly. Whatever is going to help you understand what you need to do to make that goal is how you want to do it. So really honing in on those small steps to get to those goals too is super, super, super important. And I already said that. So so great, you have these goals, right? You need to really be able to focus on them in order to achieve them. And so two things that I want to say about for like tips for how to achieve these is, first and foremost, write them down. Having them written down just does something. It keeps them in the front of your mind, so you're working towards them. In fact, writing them down twice a day is even better. Like write them down in the morning and then write them down at night. This is really, really, really going to like ingrain these into your brain that this is what I'm working towards. And it's going to give you that advantage. Like, it sounds woo-woo, it sounds weird, but it works.
I like that, because here's the deal, right? So now you are working on those goals on a daily basis. You're not doing things in your business that don't achieve those goals. Mm-hmm. You're not doing things that bring you off on a tangent that make you forget what the goals of your business are.
Right. Again, it's just really going to help to keep in front of mind. The next tip for achieving those is tell someone, right? Make sure somebody knows that you're working on these goals. Don't keep them a secret. That's silly. It's going to give you the accountability partner to make sure that you're staying on track. So this could be like a business partner if you have a business partner. More than likely, they're going to know your business goals anyway. But it's still good to maybe tell them. Make sure they know. If you have a business mentor, tell your business mentor. Have your business mentor keep you focused and keep you working towards that goal, right? And checking in on you every once in a while. Or spouse. If your spouse maybe doesn't work in the business, tell them. Alrighty. So yeah, biggest thing, get some goals down, start working towards those goals. Because if you don't have goals, you're not working towards anything and you're not going to be successful in your business. That was it for the goals section. And now we're going to talk about budgeting. I know everybody hates the word budget.
Stop
I know.
Panicking.
I've seen several coaches out there that don't like to use the word budget because people just don't like the word budget. And call it what you will. Call it a cash plan if it works for you. For us, budget works. I mean, it is what it is. And it doesn't have to be a negative thing. And it doesn't have to be have a negative connotation to it if you do it right. And in fact, if you're actually doing a budget, it can actually be really freeing and eliminate a lot of stress surrounding money. So I encourage you to just use the word budget if possible, because it is what it is. But if you're one of those people that don't like the word budget, certainly use cash flow.
Cash plan.
Cash plan, sorry. Cash flow, cash plan, two different things. So if you don't like the word budget, use the word cash plan. The key is we want you to be using something. Something that works for you.
Key is it's a plan. You're making a plan for your money so you know where it's going at all times before it disappears on you.
Yes. Really good point. So you're planning for your money, and we want you to do this every month. A lot of people think that budgeting is setting like a budget like at the beginning of the year. That's not really going to work, because as you know, in your personal finances and in your business finances, months can vary, right? You might have expenses one month and not another month. You might have revenue one month and not another month. So you really need to do a budget like every month. We do a budget at the end of the month for the next month, right? And so, again, don't think of the budget as something that you're going to be able to do one time and then like set it and forget for the entire year. That's not how it works. If you do that, this isn't going to be very good for you for your business.
It's a good start. You set the yearly budget, but then you revise on a monthly basis to make sure you're accounting for changes as things go along.
You could do that too. So again, what are you going to be doing? Basically, you're going to be trying to budget for your revenue, right? Hopefully you have some sort of idea of what your revenue is going to be for that month. And then you want to plan for all of your expenses for that particular revenue. So things like your advertising, your website costs, your utilities, your rent, your maintenance, your supplies. If you have employees, your salaries, stuff like that. All of that stuff that's going to be taken away, from your revenue coming in. You want to try to have a plan for these and have a plan on paper, because then if you run into a problem, or if you realize that there's a problem on paper, you can hopefully revise that and make it so that you don't have like an actual like cash financial emergency, right? So again, having a plan for your monies and a budget, a cash plan before the month actually hits and before you actually start spending your money. Does that make sense to everybody?
Don't want to go and, buy a new vehicle and then suddenly the next month I can't make payroll.
That would be bad.
That would be bad.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. And again, having a budget is going to help with crazy cash flow situations. And if you've been in business for any amount of time, you're going to know that you have these hills and valleys. And having a budget is hopefully going to help eliminate the stress or the chaos that can kind of come with that. And I already said spending your money first. Okay, so basically, sorry. Did you have
the good point, the hills and valleys, right? Part of that budget and making sure that you're doing that annual budget and then revising as you go is roughly what your expenses are going to be 2 months in advance. So that means that if you have a surplus today, you hold on to a little bit to make sure that you can pay your bills in 2 months from now.
Yes, absolutely. One thing I wanted to point out, and I think this is really, 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 really typical, especially of solopreneurs or people who are just starting out, because you don't know how to budget and you just don't know any better. So what do? You use your bank account as a way to budget, or to to think that you have money or whatever to pay specific things or go out and buy new equipment or such and such. Insert any scenario you want here. The key is stop using your bank account. This is really not how it works, because there's so many different things that can happen. Yes, you need to know what's in your bank account so that you know what cash you have, but don't use that as a budgeting tool, because it's just something totally different. And again, if you're doing this is just not good for your business and setting you up for failure. So don't use your bank account to do your monthly budgeting on. Too many times I see business owners getting into trouble because they think they have this large balance in their bank account, and then they go and they spend everything and they realize, oh wait, that was supposed to be earmarked for these bills, or these vendor payments or these supplier payments. Now I can't pay my suppliers. What am I going to do? So then it becomes this huge crisis. So
Or,
don't do that.
God forbid your taxes, then you get fines, penalties, and the IRS knocking on your door. You don't want that.
Yeah, that's like a whole different training is taxes. Don't get stuck in taxes. So that is it for the budgeting and the goals. Hopefully that was helpful. And if you have a specific goal that you are trying to work on, or maybe you need help with determining kind of a good goal for yourself for next year, go ahead and drop that in the comments, and we can certainly help you out with that. But yeah, would love to see what kind of goals people are working on. This brings us to the next thing, and I'm going to put up a.
I threw a curveball in here.
Yes,
I like to use visuals. I'm going to give you a few slides to look at while I speak. My face is not pretty enough for everybody to stare at the entire time, so
Okay, so I'm going to do this, and I'm going to show this, and then I need to present. I'm just going to make sure. I mentioned last night, I love Canva in their presentations. They're pretty nice. They do some cooler things than, like, what's the other thing that I'm thinking of? PowerPoint.
PowerPoint, yeah. There's this other one with Google or something I haven't really tried.
Why can't I get it here?
Can't remember what that is.
Sorry, guys. Hold on just a second.
I want to make sure that you're actually seeing us here.
Right? Like, what? For some reason, it says...
Check in the main page, because I don't know if the event thing
is working. I'm checking it right now. Okay.
There we are right there. What do you know?
I'll have to reshare it to the event.
PowerPoint. Okay, there you go. So, there's this other one with Google or something I haven't really tried.
Sorry, hold on a second. I just want to make sure... So I wanted to make sure that
you saw the whole thing and not just a split screen.
Sorry guys, I'm going to take myself off really quick and hide. Did it take me off?
Pick that one right there.
No, that's not it.
Yes, that's it.
Okay,
Look at that.
Look at see.
This is why I'm the technical guru in this house. This is what I do for the business.
Okay.
I figured this out.
So it says show. It says hide. Okay, so you must be able to see it. Okay, we're gonna go back to present. Sorry, guys.
See, here we are. We're gonna see it in a second. All right. So here's the deal. We're talking about budgeting and forecasting. You just heard wise things about budgets. So what is the difference between budgeting and forecast? We see a lot of people, and they use these terms kind of simultaneously or interchangeably. We want to highlight a few differences between budgeting and forecasting. Okay, so budgeting is that it is a plan that you create along the way. So it's a plan based on your goals of what you want to achieve throughout the year. So say if you're budgeting for your revenues for the year, you are setting a plan or a goal that this is what I think my revenues are going to be each month. And then you are shooting for that target as you move along. Okay. Now, the reason why we do these budgets is also to compare what our plan is against our actual throughout the year. Okay. And that's the key point. The best part about having a budget is you can see how you're actually doing, and you can compare that whether you did better or worse and what it is you may need to do in order to correct why you did worse. Okay. Now, budgeting is typically a spend type activity, meaning how much are we going to spend on this? How much are we going to spend on that? Your advertising, for instance, or if I'm going to spend money on a new service van for my HVAC business, whatever that might be, I need a new flower cooler for my floral business, right? So those are things that we plan in our budgets. Versus if you were doing a forecast, that is typically your forecasting your revenues. You're doing the maths. All right, so God forbid we start talking about math because this is where it gets confusing. Oh my goodness. So forecasting is the analysis of your past data, which helps predict the future of your revenues. Okay. So instead of just guessing, saying, hey, I'm going to say that I'm going to earn X amount of dollars this next month in a budget, what you're doing is you're using your past data, usually your past 2 to 3 years, doing a calculation, a nice algebraic calculation, the maths, the things that nobody wants to talk about because it's confusing. But we do these maths, and it gives us a data point that says, this is where we predict your revenue is going to be for the year. Okay. Again, typically this is a revenue activity. You're not really forecasting your expenses. You're still budgeting for your expenses based on what your revenue forecast is. What can I spend if I expect that this is going to be my revenue? What do I have to spend based on if as my revenue increases, does I don't know, payroll increase? Does my cost of fuel increase going door to door, stuff like that, right? So when it comes to forecasting, right, there is basically 4 methods that we use in order to do forecasting.
Can we just talk about a couple of
We're
them?
only going to talk about 2. God forbid we start talking about the other ones. Everybody's eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
Hell, I'm still confused about it. So we're just going to take the easiest 2, and they're the most widely used anyway, right? So everybody basically uses these 2 simple methods for forecasting. Let's go ahead to the next slide, please. So your first forecasting method is called straight line. I mean, it's fairly simple. Revenue just goes up, right? And what this does is it takes into consideration, or it expects that you're going to have a steady base of growth over the next 2, 3, 5 years. Okay. If you're talking in means of corporate, larger businesses, I mean, they're talking about, hey, let's look for that 5 to 10% growth on average each year over the next 5 years. And you're going to get a straight line curve that looks just like what you see on the screen. This is my expected growth over the next 5 years. Okay, that's about the easiest forecast that you can think of, right?
Yep.
Problem is, you're brand new, more than likely, just started up. You don't have the past data to kind of come up with this calculation.
So
the other thing is you know darn well, month over month, year over year, this ain't going to look the same. Right. Because like you said, these things are going up and down, up and down, up and down. They're jagged. But the thing about forecasting is it's not understanding exactly what you're doing in the future, but it's getting a good average, and where by the end of the year, you're more than likely going to end up where you are anyway. Right? So let's move on to the next one, which kind of brings in a little bit more reality when it comes to calculating a forecast, right? So what you're doing is you see the white line there. That is your actuals. They're more jagged as you go along. We know that when you're a startup business, you're going to be steadily growing throughout the first few years until you hit that plateau where you have to overcome some obstacles to kind of get that growth sparked again, right? But what you see there in the blue is what we call a moving average line. Okay, and what the moving average does is it utilizes the last 3 to 5 months of your revenues, and it averages those together. It averages those together, and it puts that nice blue line, which is why it starts a little bit later than the white line, but it gives you a nice average glide, and it gives you a great starting point. So when you're doing forecasting, you can see that this is where I'm going to start, and I know that I'm seasonal and things are going to go up and down, but I'm going to end up roughly in the same location each year. Okay, so it's just kind of a mathematical way of better guessing at what you're going to be at in the future. Okay,
has everybody got that so far?
Is everybody asleep?
It's not too bad.
Right.
Are you ready for the next slide? Or?
My throat gets a little bit dry as I'm sitting here hobnobbing, right? I'm an old soul. So anyway, now what's the problem with forecasting? Formulas, right? You're using formulas in order to be doing these forecasts. And you, as a brand new business owner, your data is all over the board, right? I mean, I had a $5,000 month. I had a $5 month. I had a $1,000 month. I mean, this thing is everywhere, right? It's crazy. It's jagged. I don't know if I'm going to make it month to month. So these numbers get skewed a little bit at the beginning, right? So forecasting really, it's a great thing. But when you're a startup, it's a starting point. It's not an end point. So you're going to have to make lots of adjustments to this. Other things that can skew your numbers when you're doing forecasting, poor bookkeeping. If you're not keeping up with your data, if
you don't have any data,
if you don't have any data to go off of, and I hate to say this because we do like using cash basis bookkeeping for our startups, but that's usually because they don't have any data to really go off of anyway. But cash basis bookkeeping can throw off these forecasts because you may make a $2,500 or $2,500 purchase one month that you wouldn't normally make each and every single month, and that can skew off that data a little bit, right? In a normal accrual type, you would be taking that $2,500 and maybe depreciating that over a period of the months, right? So you would only be taking a little bit of those revenues along the way, which evens out your data flow and makes your forecasts and everything a lot prettier. All right. So the type of bookkeeping and how well your bookkeeping is done really matters when you're going to be looking into the future. Okay. Let's go on to the next one, please. So we talked about what forecasting is, but why is this so important? What does that mean to me, right? So we talked about it with budgeting. So just like with budgeting, we want to look at where are we going to be in the future and where do we think we're going to be? Because I want to grow. I want a bigger paycheck. I want to do more for my business. I want to do more for my community. I want to know how much I'm going to have to pay in payroll 3 months from now. Or I want to know that if I go out and I increase my business by 20%, what expenses are going to come with that, right? And if I'm not looking to the future, then I'm going to run into those things and I'm going to have a big problem because I'm not going to know how to deal with them. I'm not going to have the money available to do that, right? So that's why forecasting is so important. Now, we talked many things about how forecasting uses past data on these calculations. And you, as a startup business, I know you don't have this data, or if you do, it's probably not in very good shape. So what we like to do with our clients and how we approach a forecasting method is kind of a combination. If we have usable data, we'll use that as a baseline. But the biggest thing is doing that annual budget, because a budget, similar to a forecast, tells us where we want to be in the next year, right? So in the next year, where we want to be, and then we shoot for that. And then as we continue to grow our business with that, our forecasting becomes better. We can start doing our calculations. We can start focusing on those things, right? The big key of how we put these budgets together, though, is not just pulling numbers out of the air, not just guessing, right? So what we do is we start building a business plan. Now, if you don't have a business plan today, it is a very good idea that you sit down, you put some numbers together, you do some market research, you put together your why you're in business. This is my vision. This is my goal. This is what I'm trying to improve. And you focus your revenues and you focus your revenue streams and you focus your spend and your goals on these things. And that's how you can build a forecast based off of a business plan, because your plan says, this is how many customers are in my market. This is how many customers I can expect to get. this is my revenue I can expect over the next 3 years, so on and so forth. And that's how we put those budgets together. We can't pull them out of thin air. You can't start working toward the future. You can't start 2xing, 3xing, or 10xing your business if you're a Grant Cardone fan until you put these business plans together. You start doing forecasting. You start doing budgeting, because these are the most important things to the success of your business.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
That's what I got. Mic drop. Boom.
All right. So let me just. So I'm back on the screen now. Just us. Let's see. Show. Oh, that's that. Wait. Okay. I want to do this. There we go.
Boom.
Now I figured it out.
Hey.
One of these days, I will get be live and actually like figure out and know how to use it like a champion. You know?
I have to say, I kind of like Loom because we can do quick videos, just throw out a quick how-to with somebody. But for this stuff, this is awesome. I love this dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar to Loom, so it's easy to use.
No.
The little pop-ups and
Yeah, not quite. Two totally different apps.
always headbutt, and it's the same thing. But hey, I like it.
Be Live is awesome.
I like it.
I mentioned before, if you are somebody who does live videos, Be Live, I believe, is the only tool that lets you like pre-schedule it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Facebook won't even let you do it. I'm sure they're gonna add that because it's such a good feature to have. So anyways, someday I'll probably do a tutorial on Be Live when I actually understand it a little bit more. Anyway, so okay, this was day 3 of the training. Tomorrow is the last training in the boot camp, and we're going to talk about sales. Sales, obviously important to your business, right? And really, I mean, I hope you understand that you shouldn't just be doing sales in August. Like, you need to be doing sales every week, every month, every day. But August is a really good time to kind of like double down because, like I said, everybody's sleeping the month of August.
And
Vacations. If you're triple downing on sales in August, you're probably going to get a lot of out of office replies. But you know what? That's okay. And we'll talk about it tomorrow. So that is it for tonight. Hope you all learned something. If you learned something, drop it in the comments. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and hit replay. Otherwise, we'll see you back here again tomorrow at 8:00 p.m. And also, as a reminder, we go live every weekday at 11:30 on the DIY Academy page. So stay tuned for another live tomorrow there as well. Bye, everybody.
Bye.